Welcome to the Journey of Becoming. I'm your host, Karrie Mitten. Before we get started, a quick question. Are you ready to break through to your next level? Uplevel Your Life Consulting is where executive success meets soul-aligned strategy. If you're a high-performing professional or an entrepreneur who has accomplished a lot, but deep down knows there's more clarity, more impact, more freedom, more you, then this is your moment. Our executive coaching is for women who are ready to step away from hustle and redefine success on their own terms. Maybe craving more confidence, beauty, and joy in their daily lives. Longing to slow down, reconnect with what truly matters, and rise higher in business and in life. Looking for a trusted transformational guide who helps them design their next chapter with intention and grace. With personalized coaching, proven mindset tools, and strategic vision building, we don't just scratch the surface, we go deep to help you live in full alignment with who you are becoming. This isn't about doing more, it's about becoming more of who you truly are. Let's talk about what's possible for you. Book a free clarity call today, and let's create a bold vision for the next level of your becoming. Visit www.uplevelyourlifeconsulting.com to schedule your call today. Because you didn't come this far to only come this far. And now on with the show. Our guest today is Paolo Versano. Did I say that right?
Paola, yes.
Paola
Paola, yes.
Versano, thank you. Founder of Paola in Italy, a lifestyle consultancy that helps women redefine success through the Dolce Vita lifestyle, slowing down in order to rise higher. After stepping away from her role as CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, Paola made the bold decision to follow her lifelong dream of living and working in Italy. What began as a personal reinvention became a mission, guiding women to trade burnout and hustle for confidence, beauty, and soul-filled purpose. Through her exclusive lifestyle retreats in Italy, Paola curates full sensory experiences that immerse women in Italian culture, style, cuisine, and elegance. Her guests leave not just with beautiful memories, but a 360-degree reset, a new way of being that allows them to design a life that truly loves them back. Her story is a masterclass in courage, faith, and feminine power, showing us that it's never too late to rewrite the story and create your own masterpiece. So, Paola, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Karrie. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I just want to let our listeners know there is a slight delay because you are in Italy, right?
I
And
am in
there,
Italy, yes.
there might be a slight delay in the answering, but we're going to get through this and it's going to be beautiful. So, Paola, I'd love to start at the beginning. So, every transformation
Sure.
starts with a turning point. So, I'd love to know where you were when you made that decision to do what you're doing today. Maybe it was a pivotal moment in your life or your business, and it made you realize that there was something more for you.
Yeah, so that moment, I remember it very, very distinctly. I was in my bedroom in front of my dressing mirror, and I was going through a divorce at the time, which turned out to be a very high conflict, messy divorce.
Mhm.
And it was a very challenging moment, but I remember looking at myself and saying, okay, this is the moment, this is the time that you can make what you've dreamed of your entire life happen. So
Mhm.
let's get through this next few months, settle the divorce. I had two children who were still at home at the time, get the children settled, and then I'm going to step into what I always wanted to do with my life, and that was live and work in Italy.
Mm, beautiful. Yeah. And so before you had that big moment, you were doing what? Share with us what your life was like before that.
So, right before that, I was working jointly with my now ex-husband in a family business. We were aggressively growing an architectural metalwork company. I was the CEO. He was the COO. We were working together to 10x the business, and we had been working together in it for about 6 or 7 years prior.
Mm.
Before that, I was in marketing, international marketing, in an engineering firm. Always very successful positions, always great salaries, always a lot of outside success, recognition, titles. But inside, Karrie, there was something that was just off. It wasn't aligned with what I really was passionate about. I
Mm,
was doing it and I was doing it really well because that's what was expected of me and that's what I needed to do.
mm.
But it wasn't what lit me up in the morning. It wasn't what really, really got me going.
I can so resonate with your story. Similar story for myself, doing the things that people told me that I should be doing, things that people told me that, that I was potentially
Exactly.
good at, right? Listening to the opinion and approval of other people, but
Mhm.
knowing that my soul was calling me into something more. Yeah. And you can't, I have a
Something
mentor that
different.
said that
Yeah.
said to me, you'll never quit on your calling. Right. And this is a calling that you had. So,
Hmm.
so as you were standing there,
Absolutely.
yeah. And as you were standing there and you were, making this decision, what what was in your mind, the forefront of your mind? I mean, you said, we're going to do this. I'm going to do this.
Mhm.
But there must have been some, you know, um, mindset shift or maybe some limited thoughts or paradigms that came up for you. What was the challenge you had
Absolutely.
to overcome? Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say once I decided I was going to do it, the biggest thing that came up for me was how. How could I ever make this work? It seemed impossible. I had a beautiful suburban home. I had a business. I had two children who still needed me. I mean, I wasn't talking about just moving to another neighborhood or moving to another state. I was talking about getting citizenship to another country, moving to another country, eventually buying property in another country, living here at least 75% of the time, and starting a business in another country.
Mm,
It was a giant question mark. Yet, when I think about the how and in those early days of trying to figure it out, it was scary, yes, but more than scary, it was something that was energizing me. And that was a
mm,
feeling I hadn't had in a long, long time in all the different roles that I had in business.
mm,
I realized back before I was going through the motions and doing what was expected of as a good CEO, as a good marketing director, and that was all great, but I wasn't energized by it. It didn't light me up. And
mhm,
facing divorce, facing financial instability, which is often a result of divorce, trying to figure out what to do with my children and create a new life for myself. Those were huge, huge question marks. I was 49 years old at the time, so I wasn't young. um,
mhm,
but it was scary, but also exciting. It was super exciting because I finally felt that I said yes to these feelings that I had tried to suppress my entire life. Because
mhm,
I can remember being a little girl, honestly, spending my summers in Italy, being a little girl and wishing for this,
mhm.
but never knowing how I could make it happen.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's, whenever we make a decision for ourselves, there's fear is always involved, right? And it's not,
Right.
it's more a fear of, facing a life that I've never known before, right? It's actually just being on the
Sure.
edge of my growth here, right? And that's the scary part, right? But so how did you overcome some of that fear and self-doubt? What were the things that you did, or how did you overcome some of the obstacles that you faced?
So, one of the things that I committed to doing was taking myself to a trip to Italy, just me, myself, and I, no one else, and basically immersing myself in the experiences that I recreate on my retreats.
Mhm,
Not with really the retreats in mind, but just feeding what I felt my soul needed and my body needed during that time, just to step out of the day to day, to get some clarity and to really take some time for myself, which I had never gone on a vacation by myself before. I never even went on a vacation without my children before. And just take some time to really examine what I wanted to do.
mhm,
And when I came back, reentry, as we talked about earlier, was the piece of it that I said, okay, I need to not fall apart during my reentry. I'm stepping back into my day to day life. All the divorce trouble, all the issues are still there. I can very easily slide back to where I was prior, but I made a conscious decision in Italy to say, no, I'm going to start taking action. No matter how small, no matter how messy, I'm going to start taking action to achieve my goal. I came back from that 1 week of being by myself in Italy, and I immediately called my immigration attorney and I said, Nick, how are we going to make this happen? And we put a plan into place to make it happen. And it was very small. Collect your documents. Okay, did that. What's next? Okay, you have to go to the consulate, set up your appointment. Okay, did that. What's next? So it was, Karrie, this little bit of momentum that one day, every day or every 2 or 3 days, I did something towards my goal. And
Mhm.
that's what kept me moving. That's what kept my reentry successful.
Mhm. I love that you said that because, I coach with my clients and I tell them that action dissipates fear. When
Absolutely.
when you stay in action towards your vision or your dream, the all it doesn't, small hinges swing big doors, right? You can take small little action steps, which will create massive
Right.
momentum. But every action step you take dissipates the fear a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's so important, right? And you said yourself, what's the next step? What's the next step, right? It's constantly staying in action and doing what comes next that allows you to, step forward, continue the momentum, build the momentum, and let go of all the fear and the self-doubt that may potentially keep some people stuck completely, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I love that. I love that you said that. So, tell us a little bit about the Dolce Vita lifestyle. What does that mean?
So a lot of people think the Dolce Vita lifestyle is the Italian way of just relaxing when you're here on vacation, having your aperitivo or lounging by the beach and eating pasta and gelato. And of course, they are amazing parts of the Italian lifestyle, the Dolce Vita. But having lived here now for several years and having spent a large portion of my life here in Italy, the Dolce Vita is uh, really made up of three lifestyle pillars. And one of them I define as elegant success. Another one is 360-degree confidence. And the third is vibrant well being. And those three pillars within each have a way of managing those aspects of your life. For
Mhm.
example, in vibrant well being, you know, it does touch on wellness and how the Italians approach wellness, which is very different from how the US approaches wellness. It's not diet, it's not restrictive, it's not calorie and step counting. It's a much more balanced approach. But it's also, when was the last time you had fun? And do you take time for pleasure every day? And
Mhm.
it could be meeting a friend at the cafe for a coffee at 11 o'clock in the morning, which is very common. Before you have a meeting with someone, sitting down and offering them a coffee and some sweets before you actually get into business. When was the last time you went out with friends or met up with them before dinner and you had an aperitivo and just took a half hour or 45 minutes and just talked? Not about work, not about pressure, just enjoyed the time together.
Mhm.
When we talk about 360-degree confidence, one of the things that always strikes me and it strikes my clients when they come is every single woman is dressed up, whether you're going to the supermarket or you're going to the gym or you're going to work or you're running errands. There are no yoga pants walking around here. You get dressed up
Mhm.
because, from a confidence standpoint, there is a level of confidence that's raised when you feel good in how you're dressed. Looking good makes you feel good.
Mhm.
So there's different elements of, we talked about elegant success earlier. Women are ambitious here. They do accomplish a lot. They are very successful. And yet in a way that doesn't bring about the overwhelm or the burnout. It's a much more managed process because they're bringing other elements into their success. I was
Mhm.
very successful in the US, but I was on the edge of burnout constantly. I
Mhm.
was very overwhelmed. I wasn't enjoying it. I was doing it and I liked the rewards, but I really wasn't enjoying it. Now I've created this elegant success that I like to call it in a way that is much more aligned with me. It's slower, it's intentional, but I'm growing faster and I'm growing more and I'm seeing more success. So I'm not chasing it. It's coming
Mhm.
into me, which
Mm.
is a huge difference. And I think part of La Dolce Vita, when you can embody those three pillars of it and really live it, things start to align differently, and
Mhm.
you start to look at things from a much more intentional standpoint versus a reactive standpoint. And that makes a huge difference in business and ambition and careers.
I absolutely, I put my stamp of approval on that. I wish
Yeah.
more Americans would understand that, that it's not about chasing success. It's about allowing
No,
success to come
allowing
in.
success in.
Yeah, yeah, and
Exactly.
and it has to be in full spectrum, all areas of your life. I often refer to life as like a four-legged chair, right? If one leg is broken, the chair doesn't work. Right. And
No.
so we get to balance it with having all the legs working in a way that feels good to you. We want to have a comfortable chair to sit on, right? And for the highest good of all, right? And so it's really about, having that balance, having that like you said, that 360-degree success, right? Just looking at it from a
Right.
a standpoint point of balance, of peace, of calm, of living, doing the things that your soul is calling you into, the things that you love to do, not the things that you have to do or that you should do or what other people tell you should do. Right. So I love that. I want to, well, I didn't realize it was called the Dolce Vita lifestyle, but I do believe that I'm living it. I'm so thankful
Yes.
for that. Yeah. So tell
Right.
tell us, what is your next level of success? What is next on your journey of becoming?
So next on my journey of becoming is probably threefold, actually. From a personal standpoint, I one of the things I didn't mention earlier is I did end up buying a farmhouse in Italy 3 years ago.
Oh,
It's a farmhouse that dates back to 1885. And as a little girl, Carrie, I used to ride my bike past this farmhouse when I was here on vacation.
oh,
And it would just pass from one generation to the next generation to the next generation until, lo and behold, 3 years ago, the last generation passed away and the house came up for sale. So I feel like
ah,
this home that I am sitting in has been waiting for me. Next in my life is to finish this so I can really finish the renovation project so I can really embrace the Dolce Vita lifestyle
mhm.
from an at home welcoming my friends, my Italian friends, my American friends, my family into my Italian home. From a business standpoint, I will be launching more retreats next year. I had 4 groups come in this year. This was, by the way, my very first year of my Dolce Vita retreats. So I'm very excited to say it was super successful. And I absolutely loved it. I said to someone the other day, I had to get to 54 years old to really do work, which doesn't even feel like work, that I absolutely love and lights me up.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I will be launching more of them, as well as a one-on-one, very high touch transformational experience for clients who are ready to embrace La Dolce Vita in every aspect of their life. As you mentioned earlier, I'll be introducing the reentry coaching program. So once you're here and you experience all the Dolce Vita has to offer, I will have the opportunity to work with you when you re-enter and keep this feeling going and incorporate it into your everyday life.
Beautiful.
So that's very exciting. And I will also be starting in January the Dolce Vita community for women who want to stay connected with other women who are living and experiencing and incorporating the Dolce Vita into their lifestyle, whether they've been here or are thinking about coming here to Italy. It's a virtual community which includes language lessons, stories from other inspirational Italian women who have followed their dreams, guided sessions on how to bring the Dolce Vita into your kitchen and onto your table and how you welcome your guests, how to host your aperitivo hour. So, how
Mm.
you can replicate some of this amazing lifestyle at home.
Mm. I love it. Sign me up.
Yes, I'll save you a spot.
Thank you. All right. Well, one last question, Paola. Looking back at everything that you've gone through
Yes.
to get where you are today, what's one piece of advice that you'd love to give someone who is maybe in a challenge themselves, or they're looking at going after their dream and maybe there's some fear involved. What's just one piece of advice that you'd love to give that woman?
I think I'd love to tell her fear is normal. Fear is our body's way of protecting us. You need to recognize it and you need to allow it because it will fuel you. But the one
Mm,
piece of advice I will say is don't stop. I could have stopped when COVID hit because that was a major, I mean, the whole world stopped at that point.
okay.
And that was actually right during the part of me coming here and setting up my citizenship. But even with that, I didn't allow a major worldwide pandemic to stop me. I found ways, different ways, very creative ways to get to where my next step would be.
Mm.
So nothing is impossible if it's really meant for you. Nothing is impossible if it truly aligns with you, and continue to take the action because action, as you said earlier, moves the needle. Even if it's messy, even if it's scary, even if it's uncertain, if it's aligned with what you want to do, it will bring you to where you need to go.
Yes, beautiful. Very well said. Absolutely. I honor all of that and agree. As an entrepreneur, there's always going to be fear. You're stepping into the reality that you haven't known yet.
Always.
So we just get to, I always share with my clients, I tell them, put fear in the passenger seat. You're the driver, right? You're going to have fear
Yes.
is going to be a passenger. So
Right.
just, you take over the driver's seat,
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
It's always.
Yeah.
Right,
Beautiful.
right. And even when things are going well, there's fear. Even when things are going
Yeah.
well, there's fear. Is this going to be good enough? Are my
Yes.
clients going to like this experience? Are they going to come back? Every successful person faces that. I think of that now as I'm doing the right thing. Because if I wasn't
Yes.
afraid, I would have been, it was where I was before and just settling. And there was no real fear then. It was just going along, just
That's
good
right.
enough.
That's
So
right.
I actually embrace it. It's still scary, but I think it's a very positive thing in my life now.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with
Carrie,
us,
thank you.
Paola. It's been a pleasure hearing about all the beautiful things that you're doing, that the lessons that you learned along the way. I'm sure our listeners are feeling inspired to take action in their own lives as well. So before we wrap up, where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your work?
Okay, so they can connect with me on my website, which is being updated right now for 2026, and that's paolainitaly.com. They can reach out to me via email, of course, at paolainitaly.com and on Instagram, Paola in Italy.
Wonderful.
DM me, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with anyone who wants to reach out and even just chit chat about their next step or what they're looking to do and how they can make it happen. So, Karrie, thank you so much for inviting me onto your
Oh,
amazing podcast. I've been listening all along this week. You've had some
okay.
amazing women. So, thank you for having me on as well.
Oh, it's been wonderful having you here. And I know your story is going to leave our listeners feeling empowered and ready to take action. So, for everyone tuning in, remember your journey of becoming starts with one brave step. So, take it today. Until next time, keep embracing your transformation.